Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We're going to wait here just for a quick minute while we, all the participants join into the webinar. But as we kind of wait for everybody to get in, I just want to kind of give a very brief overview of kind of how we ended up at this spot. As you all know, we've worked with the city throughout this entire COVID-19 process to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to support our businesses, especially those that have been most impacted by the stay-at-home closure orders and just the new distancing and social distancing guidelines and health and safety guidelines. So as a part of that, we have put together a series of webinars, information, a reopening toolkit. I think we were around to many of your businesses with posters just so that you could post to your customers that you are in fact open and following the guidelines. But one of the things that we knew it was most impactful would be to find some access to financial resources for you. So the city received money from the CARES Act through the Department of Health and of HUD, Health and Urban Development, through the CDBG funding. So from that, the City Council voted to use 2/3 of their money to fund the small business grants, and then to go a step further and to match that amount. So we were blessed to be given about $245,000, $125,000, excuse me, to work with. And we've been working over the past couple of months to develop the guidelines for this SERA program in concert with what the CDBG guidelines from the feds have allowed for us to do with the disbursement of the money. So we're going to turn this over today to Lauren Grashoff, who is the neighborhood planner for the City of Shawnee. She is also the administrator of the CDBG funds for the City of Shawnee, and is going to walk through the high-level overview of the program and then just take questions throughout. So you may send those in through the chat feature or the Q&A feature, and we can answer all those at the end. We are recording this, so we will put this on our website and have the City of Shawnee also send this out via their social media and put it on their website. So if you know somebody that wasn't able to join today at 9, they will be able to view the webinar and get the content. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you for staying here and being a business in Shawnee. And we're working hard to support you. And as always, we'd like to hear your feedback of other ways that we can be of help to you. So if you have questions after this, you may contact me individually or Lauren, or please use the Q&A and chat function so that we can make sure and get as many questions answered for the benefit of all today. Thank you. Lauren, I'll let you go ahead and take it away.
All right, thank you, Anne. So like Anne said, I'm going to do a really high-level overview of the program today, and then we can also get into if you have specific questions maybe about how this, if this applies for your business, if you would be eligible, any paperwork that might be required. Because this is federal funding, there are some restrictions and guidelines that do have to be applied to this program that make it just not necessarily cumbersome, but there's a lot of process to it. So I'm just going to, again, talk about this, and then at the end, we can do a Q&A. So I wanted to highlight most of this, all of this information I'm going over today is available on the city's website. We just created a quick link, so it's cityofshawnee.org, and then it's /SERA. And then you can also send any questions you have to, we've created a email account specifically for this grant if you do have questions. And then also that's my direct phone number. So I can answer that way. And then obviously the Chamber has the COVID Resource Center that also has a link to all of this information. So the purpose of the SERA grant was to provide financial relief to Shawnee non-essential small businesses that were impacted by the Kansas stay-at-home orders and then the subsequent phasing of those orders that did put on reopening restrictions. So we are going to be offering its one-time grants. of up to $5,000 to pay for rent or mortgrage costs. And that's to offset whatever the rent or mortgage expense was for your business from March through May. And it's up to $5,000. Say, for instance, your rent is $2,000 a month, then we could pay for 2 of the months in full, and then we would only be able to pay a partial for that 3rd month, so it's up to the $5,000 max, and that's if needed. So part of this requirements and process, you will have to show that you were negatively impacted by COVID-19, and I'll get into that here in a little bit on the slides. But this is a grant, so repayment is not required. And like Ann said, our total program budget is $224,000 at $5,000 each. That's 45 businesses that we could fully fund, at least up to the $5,000 amount. If not needed, the full $5,000, we can obviously potentially fund more than 45 small businesses. The eligibility requirements, we do require that the business have 2 to 25 full-time employees or an equivalent of part-time employees as of March 1st. So we realized that potentially businesses had to do some layoffs. So if you're not currently maybe at that, meet that threshold, but did as of March 1st, then you can apply. And I did have a question actually earlier this week and wanted to provide some clarification. A full-time employee is considered, if they're employed, at least 30 hours per week or 130 hours per month. So you would use that criteria to determine your employee staff. And then it's for non-essential businesses under the stay-at-home orders or that had limited operations after the stay-at-home orders through May 26th. In the actual program information, you'll find links to all the executive orders, and within the executive orders, it kind of outlines what restrictions are applicable to what businesses. While it doesn't specifically list all business types, there is kind of framework as far as restaurants, service industry, retail, those types of businesses, but you feel free to reach out to me if you do have a question about if you're specifically what applies to your business. And then you will just provide that information in the application form itself, just use the business type. And then obviously, because these are part city funds from the general fund and then funds from HUD of city money, the business has to be located here in Shawnee, a brick and mortar commercial location. Additional requirements, the business has to be currently operational. So even if you were required to shut down as part of the stay-at-home orders, you would have to be back open currently. You also need an active city business license. You should have the application form. You'll just need to put your business license number on there. If you do need to get that from us, maybe you can't find it in your records, you can certainly reach out to us again, and we can get that information pretty quickly for you. And then, like I said earlier, you must demonstrate economic damages exceeding $2,000. So essentially the minimum grant amount we would allow would be the $2,000. And this excludes any costs covered by insurance or other assistance monies you've received. So I think it's on this next slide here. Yeah, I'll actually get into that a little bit more here. A business is not eligible if they are corporately owned or publicly traded company. We are allowing franchisees, if they are local, to receive the grants, as well as if you're a business maybe that has multiple locations in Shawnee, you could receive one for each location if you did have economic damages. Non-for-profits are not eligible for the money, as well as home-based businesses. And then the last 2 bullets here talks to, as part of the key restrictions of this fund, of this money is that it cannot be what's called a duplication of benefits. So if your business has received maybe a small business loan, PPP assistance, if you use that money to pay for rent or mortgage assistance from March through May, we cannot provide funding for the same purpose. So if you use that money maybe to pay employees instead, or to purchase PPE equipment or other operational costs, we can provide this money. We just can't provide money if you used it to pay rent or mortgage assistance already. And that's not to say if you maybe are still seeking rent or mortgage assistance after this, because any time period past May, you could still receive other assistance for. It's federal regulation, the duplication of benefits requirement that we do have to meet. And then the second part of that requirement is that if you receive the assistance, it cannot exceed the total need. So if you only had hardship in April and May, for instance, we could only pay for April and May rent and mortgage. So there is essentially, we wouldn't want to be providing your business revenue through funds that are really meant to be a recovery. As far as applying for the SERA grant, assistance will be provided first come, first served. So we will be time and date stamping all applications that we receive and then reviewing them after that. Applications will be accepted starting this coming Monday, August 3rd at 8 a.m. And then we will accept those for about 3 weeks through August 23rd at 5 p.m. And like I said earlier, applications are available on the city's website that's provided there. And then if you need, we can also email those to you. You can submit applications in person by mail to Shawnee City Hall, and you can find the address for Shawnee City Hall on our website as well. I would just note, if you're going to be providing applications by mail, that this will likely delay the receipt. So you might mail it next Monday, but we are not going to time and date stamp it until we actually receive it here at City Hall. So it could just put you further back in the line, but that's just something to think of. We have no idea how many businesses are going to apply for these funds. We obviously want to apply these as broadly as possible, but we may not be able to accommodate everyone. And then another option is to submit electronically. And to do that, we are actually providing a link to a Microsoft OneDrive. So you might be familiar with Dropbox or their file sharing programs. So you have to submit an email to the SERA grant email address, request a link to upload your documents to a folder that will be created specifically for your business. And then only you and then myself, staff, will have access to that information. And I will not be distributing the links, though, until August 3rd, once we allow applications to be accepted at that time. And then I can distribute those anytime after that through August 23rd, through the deadline. And then just be aware that incomplete applications will not be accepted. We essentially will not be reviewing those. We're trying to do this as efficiently as possible. So if we spend time reviewing and hunting down documentation for your business, then we're delaying funding to another business that provided all of their information. And then lastly, the awards. The applicants will be notified via email of their award status, so whether they received it, did not, perhaps if there's any small missing items, or maybe we just need contact information to pay the grant, we will contact you via email. So that is required as part of the application. so you will have to include that. And then we expect notifications to be done by September 14th. So that's about 3 weeks for us to review the applications. And that's not hard and fast as far as you won't be notified before that. That's just the timeline we're setting for the last date to be notified. And then lastly, want to make this clear that payments are made directly to the lessor or mortgage holder. So we will make those on behalf of your business in the whatever amount was determined for your assistance. And then a couple of things here, just acknowledgements or FYIs. Applications are considered public record and subject to Kansas Sunshine Laws. I know the PPP money, there was a lot of, we're not necessarily subject to open records, but this money is. And then there's just a standard conflict of interest clause, which essentially says you cannot receive money if a member of your household is a city employee, elected official, federal official or employee. Pretty straightforward, common language there, which is more specifically spelled out within the program information on the website. And then again, some of this might change or be a little fluid as through the review process. So don't be necessarily surprised if we need additional information. While not expected, we just want to make everyone aware of that. And then lastly, if funds are remaining after the first grant cycle, we will be reopening it. We don't have a specific timeline for that at this point, but we do want to get all of this money obligated and used. There's no point in us sitting around on this. So we want to make this available to everyone who needs it. So lastly, this is my contact information. I think like Ann said, we will be recording and distributing this after the fact. So if you do need to contact me or have any additional questions that are not maybe answered at this point, then you can follow up with me directly. So I will turn it over. Let's see. We have.
Great. Lauren, right now we have just one question, and that is, can rent assistance be split between this and PPP? For example, the total rent between March and May is $7,500. Could $5,000 be used from SERA and $2,500 from PPP? Or is any other assistance prohibited?
No, so it could be split. That's not a problem with us. Yep.
Okay. If my business is an S Corp, am I not eligible?
You are eligible as an S Corp.
And then the next question is, in a salon situation, I pay my stylist commission basis on their services. Do I simply report the number of hours they have worked?
So if you own the salon, it's yeah, I would just get a record of the number of hours they work, whether that's weekly or monthly, and then that's how you would determine full-time or part-time equivalent of the number of employees.
Okay, next question on Q31 business expenses, debt payment is listed twice. Should total debt payments be combined into one line? If not, what if there are more than 2 debt payments? Also the same for other monthly.
So it's listed more than once, essentially only because if like you said, if there are more than one debt payment, So you could include it as other, or you could just, you can lump it into one, you can break it out, but that's why it's listed more than once.
All right, are there any other questions out there? All right. If not, thank you all for taking the time to join us today. We look forward to getting your application. And again, you know, if there are questions, please let us know and we will happily work through this with you. This is a new program for the city as well. So we're all kind of, you know, working through it in real time. But, you know, we look forward to seeing your business grow here in Shawnee. And thank you so much for your time. Anything else, Lauren?
Nope, that's it. Thank you for joining us. Feel free to contact me if you have questions.
All right, everyone have a great day.